The fact that this is where this conversation went, debating the difference between a cravat and a traditional scarf is amazing. Like, this episode wins the internet.
Friends and enemies, welcome to Bad Voltage Season 3, Episode 61. I'm Stuart Langridge, and I'm here with Jono Bacon and Jeremy Garcia, feeling kind this week.
Wow.
How are you, chaps?
Wow. So I'm a little confused. I'm doing well, but so a little behind the episode of Bad Voltage listeners. Typically, the very beginning after we hit record is a 15-second debate on who's actually going to intro this, and Ack jumped in today and was like, I have an intro, and then just introed the normal friends and enemies and our first and last name. So not sure.
Makes me nervous.
You must have been thinking about that for quite a while. It was a good one.
I'm sorry, that's not the intro.
Oh, okay.
But we have decided now, a little while ago on the show, we did a thing which we called Room 101. Which would have been a mystery to people outside the UK, I'm sure. But it's an old talk show, game show here in the UK where a guest would be invited on and they would condemn things that they dislike into Room 101 with the idea they would then be banished from the earth. And then the other two get to vote upon that to see whether they agree. Right?
Yep.
And so we did. So the point here, just before we go on, right? Obviously, if we're doing this for real, you would banish things like sexism or poverty or abuse. So
yes,
this is at least in theory
supposed to be fun.
At least in theory, a bit of fun, but it's actually not fun because all of my things really, really need condemning because I hate them all.
Yeah.
But,
and for those newer listeners, I do encourage you to go to the back catalog and listen to that episode. It is actually quite funny.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? So in the last episode, the last time we did this, I thought I'd do a little review. So, Jono, for example, complained about what he called new features that slow things down, but secretly he was complaining about Peloton. And Peloton probably had their biggest year ever, right? He condemned overly cartoony company mascots without a very good description and depiction of that at all. And he also condemned the internet's obsession with cats, and both of those appear to have not diminished one iota since we did the last show.
I know. People don't listen to me.
Nah, Jeremy opened up the gates of hell and shoved in Peeps, which responded by being the most popular Easter snack in America in 2022.
Yes. It's brutal.
They sold half as many again as Cadbury's cream eggs, which are like the only acceptable Easter snack. So I don't know what you're doing over there.
More of a condemnation of Americans than Jeremy, I would argue.
They literally said, over the years, we have seen so many fans express their peepsonality, and peepsonality is a registered trademark. So as far as I'm concerned, we should all just put the Peeps people into Room 101 again and end the show, right? He did condemn Facebook, which I suppose counts because there now isn't a company called Facebook anymore, so well done. And reality TV, and I don't know whether that's successful or not because now the whole world is a reality TV show. Is that victory or is that utter defeat? I'm not sure which.
I'm not sure.
And I've been the Pepe the Frog meme image, which honestly I've seen quite a lot less of. So
definitely.
That is a jolly good thing, and I'm very pleased about it. And
Yep.
Peppers, and I admittedly failed to carry the audience both on and off the show last time around. So
they remain delicious.
Maybe we can do better this time.
Excellent.
So, Jono, why don't you kick us off? What would you like to condemn into Room 101?
So I want to get rid of every single video conferencing platform that isn't Zoom. Every one of them. WebEx, Teams, really just those two, isn't it? Oh, Google Meet, the lot of them.
Okay. We should interject at this point to say this episode is sponsored by Zoom. Go to Zoom meeting. No, it really isn't.
So is there any particular vitriol you want to spew on the non-Zoom products and platforms, or you just bought stock in Zoom and you're on board?
It's very simple. They all suck. And I judge people based upon the platforms that they choose. If somebody says, oh yeah, let's get on a call. we'll meet on Google Meet. I've already made a decision about them before we've even said anything to each other. Already. Like, the world basically decided in the pandemic, right? And I did not like Zoom in the pandemic. But the world basically decided, all right, we're on Team Zoom. Everybody started using Zoom.
Yes.
Zoom became a word in popular culture, whereas it was primarily just known in business circles before then. We all decided that, in the same way that we've all decided that water is good to kind of consume and that we should respect the law. And I think, therefore, we should not use any of these other platforms other than Zoom. And don't even get me started on Microsoft Teams.
So Teams is rough. The only thing worse than Teams might be Chime. One thing that continues to confuse me here is how bad Meet is.
Yeah.
Google, given G Suite, almost every company on earth at this point seems to use G Suite. I know some do use Microsoft. I'm being slightly hyperbolic. Yep. But many, many, many large organizations use G Suite. And Google Meet is included in it. And it's so bad that people still pay Zoom, which seems like just that Google dropped the ball. I almost want to put Google in the room for this one. But hang
on, give me time.
We're on a Zoom right now, so sure.
Yeah.
I had a Google Meet call for the first time in like 2 years, about 2 days ago. But the thing that I've seen is Teams. And honestly, if you want to bin Teams into Room 101 and that takes along with it almost all the other video conferencing things, I'm kind of prepared to go along with it. Zoom's all right. It's my problem with Zoom, unfortunately, is that it's good at this. Just doing a video call and that's it. Everything else they've tried to put into it is really, really bad. Their implementation of conference rooms is bad. Their implementation of chat is bad. It's good at video and that's all. And I don't think I like the company, dude.
You don't like Zoom?
No. After shipping stuff which ran on people's desktops and listened to connections from anywhere, and then shuffling their feet and
privacy,
not fixing.
Record in general is not stellar.
I'm not saying they're perfect. But what I'm saying is, life would be easier if we all use Zoom.
What I'm saying is, I'm prepared to throw all that stuff overboard in order that I get unjittery video, which is an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally selling.
And the noise canceling is unbelievably good, I will say.
It's very good. Yep. Although it causes problems because I bought this thing called the Sound Effects Corporate Jargon Box, right? And I'm going to play it into the microphone. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it, but Zoom cuts it out. Hang on.
Let's really drill down on this.
Yeah. No, it did cut it out.
Cut it out.
The very first quarter second maybe played, but that was it.
Hey,
you can't hear it.
So does that mean that the people on the podcast will be able to hear it fine because that's being recorded locally?
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Let's see.
We have to be disruptive.
Hang on.
We're gaining traction. I'm at capacity.
All right.
That'll
be a little surprise for you guys.
What's best about this is other podcasts have like exclusive content for like subscribers or whatever. We've got content that's so exclusive, even the other people on the podcast don't get to hear it. Now pay us $5.
Subscribe to our Patreon, yeah. But yeah, this one's difficult to argue with.
So thumbs up from Jeremy. Come on, Stuart.
I gotta tell you, I'm not hugely keen on the company and their stance on privacy and a whole bunch of other stuff. That's not good. And they've utterly failed to capitalize. I mean, they built the best video conferencing product. I'm not disagreeing with you. There was a reason it got super popular in the pandemic when we all had to use this. Yep. But what's changed since?
I think what's changed is the inability of any other platform to be even remotely as good.
I mean,
given years of we're still going to be on video calls next year. I don't know why. Like I said, Google's the big one that continues to confuse me here. But
before the pandemic, we have said this many times in Bad Voltage. Video conferencing was still an unsolved problem. They all sucked. And I would say that since the pandemic started, finally we have a video conferencing platform that's actually dependable, and that's Zoom.
Yep.
I would agree.
No commentary on the company.
Yep.
But yeah. All right. So are you in or out?
The quality of the technical product, I'm not going to disagree with. I just their stance on privacy is bad. He can't get on board with
the recent AI. He's going to listen to all
AI stuff. Employees have to embrace a new company culture or leave. which is not the kind of thing you want to hear CEOs saying. Thank you very much. And it keeps fiddling with my microphone volume. So
yeah, it's probably user error though, isn't it?
I was going to say Pulse Audio doesn't work, and he's blaming.
I mean, I'm not.
You know what, dude? One of your headphones, one of the things on your head is not working right now. You cannot. You have not been allowed opinions about AV for many years.
I know you're not wrong.
You're not allowed them now.
True.
I can I put it can I give you half a point for it?
Yeah.
What's that mean? Like it's in the room, but the door's not closed, or what's the?
Yeah, it's in room 50 and a half.
So all the other video conferencing platforms' dangly noodly appendages are slightly hanging out the door of the room. Thanks to you. All right, so there's some Stranger Things shit going on.
Now we have to get some AI cover art thing to draw that. Okay.
I think noodly appendage, by the way, could be a name for a show.
So only half, I reckon. Sorry, man, not convinced enough.
All right. Well, I'm going to put you in room 101 in the next round.
You had a good go, but no.
Who's next?
Who's next? Well, Stuart, why don't you go next, given the fact that you've disappointed both of us?
So, I feel I might be able to carry the audience with this one, unless it's unique to me, but I don't think it is. What I would like to condemn into Room 101 is automated, repeated, chummy emails. So, forever and ever and ever, you've got emails saying, hi, we'd like to work with your company or whatever. If your name is attached to a company or you're on LinkedIn or whatever, no problem. But now, as far as I can tell, you'll get 5 or 6 of them in succession. And the second one will say something like, hi, just getting to the back to the top of your inbox in case you missed my previous message. And then the third one will say, do you have a minute to take a call this week? I don't want to push you and interrupt you or anything. And it's very, very clearly an automated system where if they don't hear back from you, they'll send you another one after a week and they don't hear back from you. And the key is an awful lot of them have got an unsubscribe link at the bottom, which real people sending emails do not have. People. And this is obviously some bullshit growth hacker technique or something to improve your conversion rate. And I hate it more than anything because now not only do I get one email which I have to go, I'll bin this, I then have to bin 5 or 6 of them in a thread over the course of a week. And it's just so falsely chummy. And I hate it.
The tone on some of them are super goofy too.
I know.
Yeah.
Like there must be a dial like I want to be pithy or I want to be funny or I want to be lighthearted or I want to be a big jerk. Because some of them are like a little aggro. So no, I don't even need to hear more. I'm in the room on this one.
It reminds me of, do you remember years ago there was that, I forget what the context was, but someone at Microsoft was organizing an event and they sent out this cringy email talking about epic noms and awesome dranks. Do you remember that?
I do not, but you have to look it up. If you look it up, I'll link to it in the show notes.
Microsoft dranks. I'm typing in Microsoft dranks and let's see if it comes up. I don't know. Anyway, it was really, I'll send it to you, put it in the show notes. So this is, I mean, those emails are outbound emails and they're all about volume, right? They're all about trying to get to as many people as possible and they suck. Have you guys noticed that there's been an uptick in these recently? Because I'm getting a lot more of those now.
100%.
I thought so, but I didn't know. Oh, non-shockers, Microsoft apologizes for hella cringe hey bay interns. Get lit on copious drags. Here it is. Yeah, linked on trusted reviews. Oh my God, this is the worst. Right, okay. It feels to me like they've got it, but I didn't know whether I just got to the point where I was being noticed and everyone else has been getting these for years or whether it's but it feels to me like someone came up with this new technique. They went, here's a good idea. Instead of sending one email and then when we get ignored, writing them off as a potential lead, we'll do this sequence of 4 or 5 emails being increasingly, don't want to push my way into your inbox, but here's the email I sent below. I wonder if you had a chance to think about it. And the thing which most annoys me about it is the helplessness, because if you reply to it at all, you're just feeding the algorithm. It's not like you can reply in anger, because it's not a person sending it to you. It's a Python script, right?
Well, it is a person sending it to you, but it's been automated, the sending out.
Sure, yeah.
I think, because I'd say the distinction here is, so I've actually been learning about this recently because I hired a sales coach for my business, and I didn't know anything about the sales.
If they're telling
if I
you
get
to
one
do,
of these emails from you, I'm going to be so
no,
mad.
I'm not doing it. But this is outbound, and what they do, it's all about volume. They send it out to as many people as they can. And the problem with it, in my mind, the issue I have no issue with somebody reaching out to me who I don't know.
And we can tell this because you use the word reaching out rather than sending me an email. But yeah.
So I don't mind somebody sending me an email if there's context and relevance to it. Like if somebody reaches out and says, hey, I read your blog post recently and I want you to share something that might be useful to you. I've got no issue with that. It's when there's zero context, these people are relevant. Or my favorite is when they say things that aren't true. It's like, I got one the other day on LinkedIn and it was like, I see that Jono Bacon Consulting is hiring a CMO. It's like, no. You just made that up.
I got one the other day, as previously discussed, from a random spam person that I'd never talked to ever.
I think Jeremy and I are in raging agreement that this is going into Room 101.
I felt like this one would resonate with this particular audience. I don't know whether, it'd be interesting to hear whether everyone else gets these too, or whether this is a, you do or have owned a company in the past, you're on LinkedIn kind of thing, or what. But it definitely feels like there's been an uptick recently, and it feels like a technique that someone came up with and now everyone's copying. So it's hateful and it must go away.
Yes.
All right.
Hooray. 1 point for me.
Mr. Garcia.
So first up for me is influencers. And now I'm not talking here about I'm not talking here about tech influencers or sports influencers. I'm fine with all of those things. What I'm talking about here are like the OG famous for being famous type, the obsequious attention seeker who shills the worst of products at the worst of times for the worst of reasons to mostly bots while worrying about their quote unquote image.
Yeah.
This is the kind of person that flaunts their world travels by posting a photo that ends up being a toilet seat made to look like they're on a window of a private jet. And the fact that I didn't make that up and it actually happened is all the proof I need for this one. It's got to go.
So what we're looking for here is people who care about both the concept and the word clout.
With a K?
I forgot about clout with a K.
Remember clout with a K.
Yeah.
Wow. Just how can we monetize this feeling? Sure. This, I don't know who would say no to this. They should just get in C immediately.
Disappointingly, you'd imagine a lot of people would say no to this because they follow these Muppets online, and they like. It's interesting that there's a connection between what you were talking about with the sales thing and what you're talking about, Jeremy. Here, it's fakeness, right?
Right,
which connects actually to one of mine in a bit.
The thread. We didn't even chat about these beforehand. So
no. It was a surprise. Oh, this is.
But if you build a following online on social media or wherever it may be because you're generally insightful and have compelling opinions or whatever it may be, that's great. Like I'm all for it. So I want to confuse the two. But there's people that are just the famous for being famous thing drives me bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I tell you, like, there's a massive difference between Kim Kardashian and MKBHD, right? Like, these are two very, very different influencers in their respective worlds.
Yeah.
Although the argument for Kim Kardashian is that she's actually quite a successful businesswoman. She's done some good stuff. That's what Kim Kardashian fans have told me, at least. I don't know.
Okay. No, that's fair. I fortunately, I think by accident largely, but nonetheless, I seem to have managed to organise my life in such a way that I mostly don't know about these influencer people, hardly at all. So it doesn't actually affect me, which is nice. But I don't know whether that's just because am I just not watching the showbiz news or am I not watching reality TV and now Twitter's gone away? I don't have to see any of it there. So I don't know. But
do you use Instagram?
I do not. And that's probably where it is.
I think not using Instagram and not living in America protects you from 80% of this bullshit.
Oh, well, that's how
I think the latter protects you from a substantial portion of that 80.
Am I supposed to call it the gram, or is that passed over now?
Oh, God. The gram.
I have heard that. I have heard that straight up, but I don't know if I heard it in like 2015.
Your capital K clout just went down by 2.
So, I mean, do we need a vote on this one? I mean,
I'm definitely in for this.
Go yes. And
nice.
Yeah, back
Put
of the
them
net.
in there and lock the door.
For Jeremy.
All right,
No
round
whatsoever.
1 done.
Yeah, 1-1-0.
Nice. All right. So, should we just do the same order?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure.
All right. So, on a related note, I would like to put marketing gurus who bang on about passive income into Room 101, right? So, these are the people that are constantly posting these ads on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and whatever else. And, they're talking about how you can earn $20,000 a month without working with 4 hours of work a day. And these ads are like them stood in front of Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all this kind of stuff. And they make out that this whole world is really easy. And I think these people are taking money from a lot of vulnerable people and screwing them over. I think they're fucking horrendous human beings and they should go into Room 101.
I would guess part of them are those Lambos are rented or someone else's, and the private jet is actually a toilet. So this does tie directly into mine. I like it.
Definite toilet seat. I'm assuming if there's a Lamborghini in the background, it's Photoshop because renting won't cost too much. This is not new though, right? I mean, people have been advertising. You can, make dollars in your spare time, and then it turns out to be stuffing envelopes or something if you do 18 million a day. So it's like the 1920s.
I think the virility of some platforms and zero interest rate mentality it definitely caused an explosion of them. They always existed, but they've been amplified.
Okay.
The one thing that's fascinating though about these people is their marketing is brilliant. It's good.
Have you not hired a marketing guru?
Does that mean like one of these people at the very beginning of the base of this triangle was actually very good at what they did and has created a bunch of monsters?
It's like some kind of terrible pyramid scheme for people who do pyramid schemes.
Well, and the thing is that my main objection to them is frankly the showiness and all that kind of stuff. I don't have any real issue with that other than that it's annoying. The main issue that I have is I've been down the route of building pre-recorded training and building funnels and stuff like that. And I know how much work is involved. And I feel like I'm a relatively intelligent person. And I just found it impossible to make that model work. And I was just doing like community and content stuff. It wasn't like get rich quick stuff, which is probably why it didn't work. But like... To go out and talk to, stay-at-home mums and people who are out of work and people who lost their jobs in the pandemic and say that this is really easy, I just think it's really taking advantage of people in the worst possible way. So,
agree.
Yes,
it is. But I'm going to say
I can't wait for this objection.
This is where we find out he used to work at Amway.
Not the case. Also, the Amway people get very, very, very cross with you for suggesting they're a pyramid scheme because they're not, and they've gone into court and proved it multiple times. So, for the
fact that that means you were at least looking at becoming an Amway person.
Don't look at me, Chief. Jono just unblushingly used the word funnel and didn't even stop.
Funnels are a real thing. You can't take this whole, you don't like the word content approach to the word funnel.
They're only a real thing if you're a marketing guru, though, Bacon.
No, they're not. They're a real thing in actual businesses.
But more importantly, sure, I mean, obviously they are a scourge and they should go away. But
yes, thank you.
So there were two objections here, right? The first one is that they're just awful. But yes. I don't think being annoying about making money in your spare time puts you in the top 10% of your class when it comes to annoyance these days.
I smell a half point coming from Ack here.
But the second thing is, I will agree with you on the exploitative thing, yes. But again, if we're going after exploiters, are they the worst offenders?
They're pretty bad. The question is not that we put all of the other exploiters into Room 101. The question is whether we put these people into Room 101. You have more than enough votes to put the other exploiters. I'm not a massive fan of sex traffickers, and they should probably go into Room 101, but I think we're assuming that they would go in anyway.
I'm just trying to work out whether outside Room 101 is going to be the three of us. And, Erica and Jack and everyone else is in now Stadium 101.
Yes.
All
right, so what's the vote? We got a lot to get through.
I mean, sure. Can't disagree with this, can you? Yeah, so that's a yes. I'll give you that one. Yeah, no worries.
Nice.
Right, okay, so you get the point for that one. Who was next? Is it me or is it Jeremy?
I think it's you.
Right, okay. So, the next thing I would like to put into Room 101 is, and every word of this is important, the phrase, we are experiencing unusually high call volumes. Right? Because what makes it for me is the word unusually.
If you take the average distribution over the life of the company, it's just because they've underfunded support for the last 2 years and it's always unusually high? Maybe.
I mean, it's like, and okay, so if they're unusually high, eventually they stop being unusually and they're just high, and it's because you're underfunded. And this is an absolute abrogation of your one job, which is to deal with customer service. It's so infuriating. And everyone knows this, and they keep doing it anyway. It's this every time I ring someone up, we're experiencing unusually high call volumes, which basically means we fired all of the call center staff who we employed in order to insulate management from customers anyway. And then we fired them all to save more money. So now there's one person who has to service 80,000 calls an hour or they get fired. And then when I ring up, it's not like I can shout at them because it's not their fault. It's their boss's fault.
And if there's one person that hates it more than you, it's them, because that means every person they end up talking to is already belligerent.
Yeah, it's infuriated by the time they get in. It's that phrase. It's not just we're experiencing high call volumes, we're experiencing unusually high call volumes, which takes it from an admission of their failure to do their job to a lie, which is an admission of a failure to do their job. It's utterly emblematic of the state of customer service in 2023. And it has been now for 10 years. People have been saying unusually, like at what point does it become just...
Here's a question for you, though. Imagine on a typical hour, a call center gets 10 calls. And then on this particular hour, they get 500 calls.
Yeah.
So it's like a massive spike. Would you consider the word unusually applicable there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you normally answer the phone very quickly and deal with it nicely, and then they genuinely do have an unusually high call volume, I have no problem with them saying that. It's that they're lying about it.
You don't know that they're lying about it, though.
Okay, technically,
you're assuming the
10-minute period in which I ring and have rung every company for the last decade might have been unusually high, but I've got to tell you, I'm just that unlucky.
Maybe you just have unusually bad luck with calls.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Well, I've been living my life a long time. I know what it's like. If there was going to be someone who was that unlucky, it would be me, but I don't think it is.
What do you think, Jeremy?
This is a tough one for me.
Really?
I agree with you.
This was a slam dunk.
I don't disagree with you in principle, but I think support is one of those suspiciously difficult problems, and I don't know. I'm torn. What do you think, Jono?
I completely agree with Ak on this, but I'm going to give him a half point just out of spite from him giving me a half point earlier on.
Honestly, really?
Yeah. So half a point.
Okay, I would like to put Jono into Room 101 as my
I could get down with the half point. It's indicative of how I feel.
Wow. I actually don't think it's that big of a deal. It doesn't bother me. Like, but to go back to the game that you were just playing, Mr. Langridge, unusually high call volume versus many other things in the world that are a lot worse.
I concede using this as synecdoche for the whole experience of customer service. Yes, sure, but that seemed like a not unreasonable rhetorical trick to play here.
Yes.
But okay, so really 2 half points? Fine.
2 half points.
Fine. Yeah. Fine.
All right, Mr. Beyonce Garcia, what do you think?
All right. Firefox or maybe Mozilla. I'm not quite sure.
Wow,
but
contentious.
And this one, I should start off with. This one legitimately pains me. I was an original Firefox that ad supporter, the open web and the whole ethos. I could not be more behind in principle, but I cannot think of another organization that has fallen so far. Firefox fell from well over 30% market share in 2008 to 4% in 2018. And despite this, somehow executive pay increased over 400%, which means Mitchell made $2.4 million in 2018, which seems like a lot for those results until you read Mozilla's most recent 990. In 2021, she made closer to $6 million. Overall, Firefox usage currently stands at 2.7%. Although, if you want a silver lining here, it's a little over 5% if you consider only desktop usage a great metric in 2023. So, I mean, at this point, the reality is they're irrelevant enough that they can't affect any real change. So the ethos of the entire foundation is gone. And then they rebranded away from an awesome dinosaur in favor of a logo that includes : // I mean, come on. In the room.
Yeah.
And so,
boom.
This is good.
That was spicy.
Okay, so everything you have said is correct and I agree with it. But this depends, in my opinion, on what it is you're actually putting into Room 101. Because I think you've got three choices. You've got Firefox, you've got Mozilla, or you've got the Mozilla Corporation, MoCo, as opposed to the Foundation. And my answer differs depending on which one of those you're picking.
So given
or all of the above.
Oh, boy. I mean, the foundation has so many good ideas in principle, but is so bad at executing. Let's go all three then. Fine. I'll go all in. If I'm going to do it, I got to go all in, even if I'm not exactly on board with it. It's so disappointing. Like, I was actually getting angry as I did some of this research because it was like something I believed in so much for so long. They're just bad.
I mean,
I'm curious. So you said the three. You would be yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and what? What would the?
I honestly don't know, but it varies less. I wouldn't bin Firefox because I use it. It's like literally my browser. And
I think I know how this is going to go. I think you're going to bin Mozilla Corporation and
not the foundation.
I'd bin MoCo. If I'm binning one of them, you could begrudgingly get me to vote yes on the corporation, maybe because. Yes, they are mismanaging the thing. Mozilla as a whole, I think not, but I think my question becomes, you shove them into Room 101.
Yep.
Does that improve things? I mean, your argument is probably it doesn't make it any worse, which is an argument I got a lot of time for, considering they're down to 2%.
It doesn't make it any worse, and maybe someone would pick up the mantle in a way that isn't so mismanaged, so it would create a vacuum that may be occupied by something that was better, or maybe not. But the worst case is it's not any worse, and the best case is it might get better.
But your argument is that at the moment there's no vacuum there because the Mozilla names, even though there's not there's hardly any market share there now, they are sucking up all the mental energy towards fly the flag for open browsers and the open web in a way that everyone else. That's a more compelling argument than I was expecting there, I've got to say.
So I guess because, to be very clear here, of the three of us, you are the closest to the open web, the web in general, what Mozilla Foundation may be doing. Is there something that you think the foundation is doing particularly well that they maybe aren't articulating or communicating well that the community should know about?
So there are a bunch of projects. So things like Common Voice, for example, is pretty amazing. I think my objection to Mozilla is the mismanagement. I don't think the concept of MoCo is wrong, but I think if you'd have said, I want to put the current management structure of MoCo into Room 101 and replace them with people who do better, I would be 100% on board.
Oh, these are supposed to be fun and controversial, not obvious and just facts that exist. What's the point of that?
But I mean, man, binning Firefox.
I disagree with you, because
the funny thing is, you were so anti this, and now you're like, oh man, I might just bin all 3 of them, and I'm annoyed about it.
I think, wow, I'm staring into the abyss here, and it's
there is an endemic leadership problem. There's an endemic leadership problem in the whole thing. I think separating out the foundation and the corporation is tricky. My vote on this is I wouldn't put them into Room 101. Not because I disagree with you, Jeremy. I think everything you said is completely true. I think they're fatally mismanaged. But I think a big chunk of to be fair to the leadership there, I think a big chunk of the reason why they are just failing so profoundly is they backed a series of wrong horses. And, 61% of market share today is Chrome. 25% is Safari, and the rest is table scraps. And I think they're just in the realm of table scraps. I don't think if they went away, there'd be a vacuum, because the vacuum is so small that I don't think anyone's going to care. There's plenty of other browsers like Opera and Brave and others, but people have decided they want to use Chrome, Safari, and Edge. And so I don't think it would make much of a difference.
Oh, that's almost a defeatist. I don't put them in the box.
Not Edge. So this is slightly contrary to the spirit of the game. But I think what I would say is I basically agree with Jeremy, and I can see it, but I'm not doing it. Get fucked. I'm not putting Mozilla in. It's just no. I'm not doing it.
And this goes back to my point of them sucking up the room is you're not basing that, the game aside, you're not basing that on the reality of the situation. You're basing it on, but Firefox, I know. Yeah. I just want to hug the fox, which I think legitimately is sucking space out of this. I think that proves my point, if anything. So I'll take 2 no's as a victory, given this was the most contentious of them anyway.
I mean, yeah,
you're
honestly,
totally right though, Jeremy, because we're saying this based. This is purely emotional decision making. Yeah. None of this is based on any fact that you quite literally laid out.
I know. You're like, no, you see, the whole point is that we should do this, but everyone doesn't want to because they love it so much. And we're like, we agree with you, Jeremy, but we don't want to because we love it so much. It's like recursively annoying now.
It reminds me of that sketch from Mitchell and Webb, which you should add this to the show notes, which is when they're like, it's not directly that they're the Germans, I think, but like they're hanging out on the battlefield. And this one guy says, I just realized, are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies? They're not. Yeah. They're not, are we the baddies?
And I was realizing, like, are we part of the problem? Like, by not voting for the guy?
Man, I would like them to be fixed. I would be okay with sweeping them aside and someone else popping up, but I feel like sweeping them aside and no one else popping up and Jono turning out to be right would be a material, what's the opposite of an improvement? Come on. Language. You're a professional writer.
I think if anything, it would be a damage to your psyche. Is what
a material degradation in the state of the universe if nothing were to pop up to replace it. But man, I'll take your point though.
All right, took a swing. Think I've changed opinions. I'll take the no. All right, so 3.
Do better, Mizzo.
3 left. Yeah, TLDR. Do better.
Yeah, please, God, do better. Put their incompetence in, no problem. John.
Yeah. All right, last round.
All right, for my final one, I feel very strongly about this. I'm hoping that both of you are going to agree with me.
It's going to be cats again.
It's not cats. I'm over cats. It's far more serious than that. Men who wear scarves inside. I hate everything about men who wear scarves inside.
Wait, scarves and what?
Men who wear scarves around their neck inside a building. If you're walking around with a scarf wrapped around your neck, like you think you're fucking Gerard Depardieu from the 80s, you're not okay. You're part of the problem. So we need to stop this. It's unhealthy. It's not good behavior. It sets a bad example for our children.
I can think of multiple people that consider you friends that do this on the regular, and I am forwarding this episode to each and every one of them.
Now, I know for a fact you're thinking about Steve Wally when we
he was legitimately one. Yeah,
he is legitimately one of them. Yeah,
and also
such a good chap that you just pissed on.
Also, Gabriel Columbro, he is another person who wears scarves inside. And in fact, I was at a work function one night with Steve and Gabriel, who were both wearing scarves inside, and I told it to their faces that this is not okay. So
now,
throw it away.
Hang on, I feel I need to clarify something here for fear of being swept into the room along with everybody else, right? There are three different...
if it includes a cravat, right?
There are three different kinds of scarves you might be talking about here. There's like an outdoor warm scarf, which is designed to, keep you warm, and your whole point is you're allowed to wear those outside. There are silk scarves, right? But still a scarf, still the long thing with the tassels on the end or whatever. And then there's a neckerchief or a cravat. Yes. All of those could be legitimately described as scarves, an ascot for American listeners. Which of those are you doing? Because if it's all of them, there's no way you're getting the point, dude.
The fact that this is where this conversation went, debating the difference between a cravat and a traditional scarf is amazing. This episode wins the internet.
Completely different.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When I was concocting my items to go into Room 101, I had completely forgotten that you, in fact, wore a cravat at one of our parties.
Yeah. I bought a new neckerchief like 2 weeks ago.
You looked by the way, the word neckerchief just enrages me. Like,
let's stick with the
okay.
others. Yeah.
Okay, but it's not technically a cravat, which is why I said that. It doesn't matter.
You see, here's the thing, and this is going to sound like just like it's going to sound like horse shit when I say this. I think you look cool in a scarf. I think you're the only person that I've ever met who looks cool in a scarf.
Wow.
So I'm actually going to amend mine to men who wear all of those items that you mentioned earlier on, but not including you.
Just not me.
And I'm saying men specifically because women who wear scarves, I think, look great.
I like one of the two people that can vote on this is excluded from this very specific, very opinionated thing.
This is a shameless piece of vote buying and gerrymandering, in my opinion.
I mean, for me, I refuse to put Steve Wally in the room, so I can't do it. I can't do it.
Can we exclude him as? What about? All right, men who wear scarves, cravats, neckerchiefs, whatever you said, who don't include the people we like.
I mean, it's hard to argue against that, but equally, this is the softest of softballs. So we should just do the next show, and we'll go Room 101, and Jono just goes, things I don't like, and we all go, yeah, fine, whatever, and that's the end of the show.
All right. So I'm guessing I'm not getting your votes.
You can't.
I don't wear scarves in or outdoors, but I just can't do it.
If you ever do that, I will punch you in the face.
I mean, I put scarves on subscribe and save right now just to see what happens.
I bet you can do that.
It's got to be a no from me, man. Sorry. So my one is this is actually a slightly tech one. It's people who go, oh, you want to know about our project? Join our Discord. As opposed to writing any documentation at all ever. And it's just, no. Piss off. First of all, I'm not going to he's not going to be there in like 2 months.
This does seem more common recently.
This is why I bring it up. I mean, because it seems new to me. I mean, but is it new? Have people been doing this forever?
I don't know, actually.
Because I don't remember people going, join our IRC channel instead of documenting things.
I think you're totally right about this. Like,
I mean, I think Discord's
you want to learn
easier.
about a project? Let's descend into a pit of people I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the worst possible. I go and read the tutorial and do something and then go and check it out, our Discord. Great.
You want to join our community?
Do you have an example of something you wanted to check out recently that this happened to? So the listeners can...
No, it was, I was looking for, I was looking at, JavaScript libraries for something, and I can't remember what it was now. I'll look it up and put it in the show notes. But okay. I came across sort of 3 or 4 in relatively quick succession. Well, I'm like, okay, how do I actually use this? And beyond sort of 2 lines of explanation, it was join our Discord for more. It's like, this is not a substitute for I don't want to join your community. I just want to download your damn library. Give me the thing. Right. Yeah. So that one was just annoying, and I ran into it, and I thought, you know what? When you said Room 101, I thought I'm putting that in.
I think you're totally right. I actually have a multiple minute rant about this myself, but I'm not going to right now.
Don't let me stand in your way.
I wish we had time. Yes. It's also like outside of the fact that it's stupid, I would also argue it just doesn't work. Right? No, there's a reason why people have Discord channels with 600 people in there and no one's talking. It's because you get system shock when you go into a Discord and you don't, if you're not convinced it's going to be worth it, you look at it and then you eject, right? So it doesn't work, even if you want to do that.
It has one redeeming feature, which is that you think we don't have to do any work to support people. Great. We can turn that on now and then go, we're done. Next item on the to-do list. Support.
You might as well just point them at the Walmart. Yeah. You might as well just point them at the Walmart website.
I will say information. I agree in principle. I'd be much more convinced if you had an example. It can't really enrage you if you can't even think of one example.
I know.
I can give you some examples offline, but I'm not going to mention them on the show.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's a bad pattern. I'm fine.
All right, cool. So hang on, we voting that going in?
Yeah, I could say, do I get the vote?
You get my vote.
Yep, that's fine.
Oh, right, sweet. Right. I thought I was a no.
All right.
Okay, and Jeremy, final one.
All right, so the first two I came up with pretty quickly. The second one, I really thought long and hard about this one, if we're being honest. High heel Crocs
did the one with, same
got
with
real
scarves.
Consideration. Carpeted bathrooms did enter my mind. But in the end, I just couldn't shake an unstoppable force. And the unstoppable force is Peeps. And this is, I didn't even know about Peepsonality, but let's just go through this for 1 second.
Resurgence of Peeps.
For 1 second. It's not just that hashtag hanging with my peeps still exists. It's still a thing, even on X, which is wild. Or that Peeps Pepsi still haunts this earth. I looked up the ingredients to Peeps, and this is true. In order, sugar, corn syrup, which, okay, is sugar, gelatin, food dye, and salt. You both have diabetes just for having heard that. And this is also true. A Peeps eating contest is held every year at National Harbor in front of the Peeps and Company store. The 2017 winner, which is the last one listed, gets a shout out. Matt Stoney, yes, you, Matt Stoney of California, ate 255 Peeps in 5 minutes. Don't understand how he's still alive. So while there are a couple rumors online that Peeps are actually indestructible, the rumors and the evidence seems less than credible. But what is credible is that as marshmallows age while exposed to air, of course, they dehydrate, becoming stale and slightly crunchy. According to someone called Just Born, aka the company that makes Peeps, 25 to 30% of their customers prefer eating stale Peeps, which tells you something about the quality of Peeps. Peeps, they got to go back in the room. I can't believe. And the fact that I've learned now that they were the best-selling thing last year, I would say they should burn in hell, but we've already established they're the one marshmallow you can't toast, so you can't even do that. It's brutal.
Oh, man.
I feel like we need to provide a standing ovation at this point. That was very impressive.
You have to respect the dedication here. Right?
The dedication.
You get to pick 6 things to go into Room 101, and 2 of them are this marshmallow sweet. Apparently, according to a press release of theirs, you wouldn't believe how much Peeps stuff I read earlier when I was checking this out. 68% of Americans have had their first experience with Peeps registered trademark by the time they were 9 years old. But wouldn't you say have eaten one, which suggests
No, it's not food. It's just sugar, corn syrup, gelatin, food dye, and salt.
But exactly. So what this suggests to me is that 68% have had their first experience with Peeps, but if they'd all eaten one and enjoyed it, they'd have said that, right?
Yes.
So it's entirely possible that a good portion of that 68% of Americans, their experience with Peeps was going, what the fuck is this? And throwing it away.
Yes, you have experienced Peeps.
It says a lot about Peeps because apparently in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where Peeps were born, the tradition is so large that every New Year's Eve, the locals drop a giant peep instead of a ball. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Is that real? Or did you? So the thing with the Peeps is I can't tell what's real and what's just people making stuff up.
Do you know what's going to really sicken you? I just typed in Peeps facts into Google. Where is it? Oh yeah, apparently if you were to lay the number of Peeps, enough is produced each year that if they were all lined up, they'd go around circle around the earth twice. That's how many Peeps are made. And like 600 people eat those Peeps, and they're all the size of a house.
Well, I mean,
that bit's not real.
Honestly, given this, we really can't argue, right?
It's got to go in.
I've got to go with a yes. That's got to be a yes. Yeah.
So there we have it, everybody.
Hashtag hanging without my peeps.
we are not hanging with any peeps at all. So, we're interested in your thoughts. Let us know. And before we go, you should all use noteteam.media.
Yes.
Yep.
Marius.
The company run by our own glorious Marius, who's doing the editing for this.
It's a great job.
He is. Sometimes he actually edits it live on Twitch, which is pretty cool. But
it is cool.
I didn't suggest it to him, so or he didn't suggest it to me, so I don't think he's doing it this time. But regardless,
and let us know, everybody, your Room
hatred
101
for
suggestions. And also, I'd like to, for the artists among the Bad Voltage community, I would like to request that you create a series of amusing images with Jeremy's face and various peeps imagery, and share them on the internet. Would be very fun.
Seems like a thing. Yep. We're on various social media things.
When our website works.
You have fixed that. Like, you literally have to fix that.
I know.
People keep saying to me, it's broken. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it. They're like, what do you mean? Why aren't you the sysadmin? I'm like, just shut up. I can't do anything about it. It's Jono.
Yeah.
So
we're going to fix this.
We are.
All right.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Peace out, everyone. All right, recording. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I would like to note, Marius, that my counting this time was pretty on point, and X was a bit shit.
I honestly, you got to 5, and I thought, I'm supposed to be counting along, aren't I? I don't know how I could have forgotten this after 20 great years of podcasting, and I still can't remember. I'm sorry. Wow. It's been a week. Right. So, shit, what's the episode number? Fucking anal beads. Hang on. Bad voltage dog.
And we have a show title.